Good to have you join us for news tonight live on GBC24. We are live on Ghana television as well. My name is Micheline Taka.
And my name is Morris Ogbete. In the headlines,
President Akufo-Addo announces measures to address youth unemployment.
Minority in Parliament threatened to boycott proceedings for unfair treatment.
All-female contingent from the Ghana Navy take over guard duties at the Flagstaff House.
And in Nigeria, Parliament votes to reduce age limit for candidates vying for president from 40 to 35 years.
Now the news in details. President Akufo-Addo has launched a book co-authored by former Nigerian head of state Olusegun Obasanjo in Accra.
The book is titled Making Africa Work, provides some ideas that can propel Africa's growth.
Each book titled Making Africa Work, authored by Greg Mills, Jeffrey Herbst, Olusegun Obasanjo, and Dick Davis, gives a blueprint for Africa's development. It offers suggestions on how Africa can ease away from the bottlenecks to accelerate growth. Policies underlined for different scenarios put premium on quality of life of people, urging that the question about human-centered development is exigent and non-negotiable. The writers believe Making Africa Work is a guide to improve Africa's capacity for economic growth and job creation. The book comes at a time when most African countries still remain poor and are witnessing massive population increase and high unemployment rate. Former President of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, who co-authored the book, and Dr. Greg Mills, believes Africa is not poor, but attributed its current state to the mismanagement of the continent's resources.
In 60 years of independence, Ghana has had to call on World Bank and IMF for help in one form or the other more than 16 times. That's more than once every 4 years. Are we that weak? Are we that poor? Then what is wrong? Africa is not potentially poor. Our resources are poorly managed. What we are saying in this book is that different choices can be made, and the time is now.
We spend most of our time working at the invitation of governments, mostly in Africa, occasionally outside of Africa, but mostly in Africa, to assist them to strengthen their economies around the central challenge and related challenge of growth and job creation for the next generation.
President Akufo-Addo noted that Africa has the youngest population in the world, and to reduce unemployment, more jobs must be created. He described youth unemployment as a security issue which requires urgent but pragmatic response.
How should we approach the problem of unemployment from the standpoint of economic development? Employment is created when goods and services are produced for which there is a demand. In an era of global competition, a large number of countries are trying to find markets for their goods and services abroad to generate employment at home. Let us not make any mistake about it. In the global marketplace, every other country is a competitor. That is the mindset African countries must have. There is no separate global standard for African countries because they happen to be African. The competition is ruthless. We cannot enter this competition with a mindset of dependency. We must build economies beyond aid.
He was hopeful that measures taken by his administration in the past 6 months will provide the needed space for the private sector to expand and create jobs.
Inflation is on the decline and economic growth has picked up in the first half of the year. We're going to pass a new law that will limit Ghana's fiscal deficit going forward to between 3 and 5% of GDP in any given year.
The CEO of the Private Enterprise Federation, Nana Bonsu, and other speakers were optimistic that Africa has the capacity to unlock her potential to create jobs and reduce unemployment.
We remain at the Flagstaff House, where President Nana Akufo-Addo this morning witnessed the 23rd ceremonial change of guards. The all-female contingent of the Ghana Navy took over from the Army. The three arms of the Ghana Armed Forces rotate on Presidential Guard.
The changeover ceremony of the Presidential Guard is the 23rd and 2nd this year. The ceremony at the Flagstaff House, a quarterly event, is an adaptation of the British model where the monarch reviews a change of guard at the Buckingham Palace periodically. The Ghana Navy will guard the Presidential Palace and related installations in the next 3 months. They took over from the Army. Instituted on May 5, 2013, changing of the Presidential Guards is conducted with 20 outgoing and incoming guards from different services and regiments of the Army, Navy, and Air Force as they file as escort contingent in national and regimental colors. This is under the command of a captain of the Ghana Army or the equivalent from the other services. Generally, the significance of the event includes ensuring alertness and readiness at all times, ensuring availability and assessing the strengths of the soldiers among others. Within the Ghana Armed Forces, the ceremony promotes unity in diversity and instills discipline in personnel. The President, Nana Akufo-Addo, witnessed the ceremony with some government functionaries. After the colorful ceremony, President Akufo-Addo interacted with some officers and men of the Ghana Armed Forces and school pupils present.
The Minister for Food and Agriculture, Mr. Akoto Efriye, has told Parliament that the armyworm invasion of food crops across the country has been brought under control. According to the minister, the invasion will not adversely affect the Planting for Food and Job campaign.
5-year Planting of Food and Jobs campaign launched months ago focuses on 4 key staple foods and vegetables. These are maize, rice, soybean and sorghum, tomatoes, onion and pepper. According to the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Mr. Efriye Akoto, distribution of inputs to all districts in the southern sector for the major season is complete, while that of the northern sector is near completion.
So far, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture has spent 157,023,174 Ghana cedis on the campaign for the major season in the southern sector and the 3 northern regions.
Can the Honourable Minister be very specific as to what concrete steps have been taken towards the construction of warehouses?
We are taking stock of all warehouses around the country to see in which districts there are no storage facilities, so that we can then target these warehouses to construct the facility for them.
The issue of fertilizers meant for the program being allegedly smuggled to Togo and Burkina Faso came up.
Mr. Speaker, I am not aware, but as a good citizen, if he has the evidence, he should provide it and we will follow it up. Thank you.
Questions have been raised whether the invasion of the fall armyworm would not affect the success of the campaign. Members also shared the same concerns.
I would like to take this opportunity, if you may allow me, to assure the nation that the fall armyworm invasion has been defeated by my government, totally defeated. The impression which has been created by some people that the armyworm is consuming Planting for Food and Jobs, Mr. Speaker, is not correct, it's wrong. This is why we are in anticipation of the surpluses that we are expecting. We are making frantic efforts in order that we will store and make sure that not one single bean or one single grain is lost.
Proceedings were disrupted briefly after the Speaker denied the Minority Leader, Mr. Haruna Idrisu, from asking the Agric Minister more than one question.
Meanwhile, the minority in Parliament has threatened to boycott proceedings in the coming days for what they call unfair treatment meted out to them by the Speaker, Professor Michael Quay. They argue the Speaker's conduct was affecting smooth running of the House while denying them the opportunity to scrutinize government business.
There was an uproar from the minority when the Speaker, Professor Michael Quay, denied the Minority Leader, Mr. Haruna Idrisu, the opportunity to ask the Minister for Food and Agriculture further questions after his first attempt.
Mr. Speaker, when I rose, you know the essence of parliamentary question is significant and integral to the exercise of oversight. Your refusal to allow me, even as minority leader, to proceed can only be an effort to stifle oversight.
Mr. Speaker, honorable minority leader, that the Speaker respects the front bench of the minority. Why do you want to stop us? You have to give us space to be able to put our rules. Mr. Speaker, you cannot stifle the space for the minority leadership. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, the day before yesterday, there were questions that were supposed to be asked yesterday in this House. They were not on the other paper. You didn't give us the opportunity to raise them. Yesterday, we advertised. There were questions to be asked today again. They've not been put on the other paper. You are not giving us the opportunity to even air our views. Why? No, are we raising at the leadership meeting? Why? If you don't want to,
unhappy with the turn of events, the minority called on the Speaker to review his decisions and give him a fair opportunity in the House. The Majority Leader, Mr. Osei Chairman Sabonsu, disagreed with the issue raised and urged minority to rather focus and brace themselves up for the extra loads of work in Parliament. The Speaker in his ruling said, henceforth, leaders of both sides of the House will be limited to only one question when a minister appears before Parliament.
From the legislature, every Ghanaian child who passes the 2017 BECE and is enrolled in a public senior high school will benefit from the free senior high school policy, which begins in the 2017-2018 academic year. According to the Minister for Education, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, 400 million Ghana cedis has been budgeted for the take-off of the policy come September 2017.
Senior high school policy is to, among other things, ensure equal opportunities for all students who wish to attain senior high school education through the removal of cost barriers. Under the policy, the government will foot the bills of each student who qualifies into senior high school. Also, for each student in boarding house, government will pay 1,000 cedis. In the technical and vocational institutions, 748 cedis will be paid for each day student and 1,100 cedis for those in the boarding houses.
For those who don't believe or do say we should wait, anybody to date who has any information that the president hasn't gotten about the economy, anybody who has any country view that the money that has been appropriated by the Parliament of Ghana is not enough, can as well submit it to the president or us, and we will take due cognizance of it. But free SHS is happening September 2017. We are going to monitor with unique identifiers everybody who wrote this exam, because that is the eligibility criteria. So we've taken it from WAEC. So head teachers will be asked to bring returns within 2 weeks of school reopening. And we would pay your entitlements to you if the numbers that we placed is equal to the numbers that the returns that you have sent. We don't want leakages. We want the money to go to the wards, not to other people's pockets. So we are going to stringently monitor the free SHS through the Government Scholarship Secretariat and the Free SHS Secretariat.
Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh says government will cater for the feeding fees of boarding and day students.
We are going to remove cost barriers. We are going to deal with fiscal expansion of school infrastructure. We are going to deal with the improvement of the quality of secondary education. We are going to address equity. What we intend to do, that instead of sitting on catchment area to cause distortions in offering quality and access and equity, we are saying that for our best schools in this country, and there are about 82 of them, 30% of their places would be reserved as a right to those from public schools across the Ghana. The young lady from Nampanduri who aspires to go to Wesley Girls, who gets 24, should have a chance of going to Wesley Girls than my daughter living in Accra.
Dr. Prempeh said, though the policy will encounter some initial challenges, government is ready to deal with them.
News are live on GBC24. The Minister for Roads and Highways, Kwesi Amoako Atta, has announced the immediate closure of the Mamfe stretch of the Accra-Koforidua Road. The road will be closed between 6 a.m. and 12 noon tomorrow, the 28th of July 2017. The closure is to allow maintenance works to commence on a bridge that separates Tinkong and Nyamibetche that caved in. The minister has therefore asked commuters to use the Edukrom in Krakan or the Bri in Sabon Suhum Road to Koforidua or Accra.
Ghana hopes to reduce road traffic fatalities by 50% by 2020. In 2016, over 2,000 people died through road accidents. Statistics show that between January and June this year, 1,059 persons were killed in road accidents. Players in the sector met in Accra to discuss road safety in the country.
Disregard for road regulations, drunk driving, tiredness, reckless driving are among key challenges leading to road accidents in the country. Some survivors are left incapacitated for the rest of their lives, while few regain their natural self. In 2016, 2,198 deaths by road accidents were recorded in Ghana. 1,034 died between January and June 2016, while 1,059 died within the same period in 2017. Pedestrian knockdowns in the first half of 2016 stood at 1,368, while that of 2017 shot up to 1,732.23%. Of this figure are children below the age of 16. The National Road Safety Commission is spearheading the road safety campaign.
For Ghana, we also saw that we had issues with enforcement. So yes, we have the decade of action, which the whole world, with those 5 pillars, Ghana has added one more pillar, that is enforcement. So we are ensuring that we give the enforcement agencies the needed help, logistics, etc., so that they can do their work, so that we can achieve whatever we want to achieve by the end of the year 2020.
While it was identified that health centers are unable to handle all accident cases due to the country's weak post-crash system, the insurance sector reveals that provision have been made to cater for hit-and-run cases where victims can make claims.
If you're knocked down by a hit-and-run vehicle, you can actually make a claim on the insurance industry. Because you make a claim on the National Insurance Commission, and the National Insurance Commission will ensure that you are compensated. Because all insurance companies are levied by the National Insurance Commission to make provision for hit-and-run cases.
The Deputy Minister for Transport, Mr. Daniel Titus Glover, said nothing should be left to chance in the crusade.
I want to share some few statistics with you and the sources from National Road Safety Commission, one of the agencies under the ministry. Road accidents constitute about 20% of deaths in this country. In the year 2014, the World Health Organization commissioned a study to look at various types of deaths in our country. And it will surprise you to know that road accident is the number 11th cause of accidents on our roads.
The conference was under the theme Sustainable Enforcement to Reduce Road Traffic Fatalities by 2020, the role of public-private stakeholders in promoting safe transport business and safe petroleum delivery.
The 64th anniversary of the attack on the Moncada barracks led by Fidel Castro in Cuba has been held in Accra. The chargé d'affaires of Cuban embassy in Ghana, Mr. Julio Sanchez Martinez, paid glowing tribute to Fidel Castro and Dr. Kwame Nkrumah as symbols of nationalist struggle. The commemoration is christened National Day of Rebellion.
On July 26, 1953, Fidel Castro led an attack on Santiago de Cuba. Though the attack was unsuccessful, it marked the beginning of Cuba's struggle towards independence.
I will land in New York like this. I will land in New York like this. Tengo un chaleco moral.
Marking 64 years of that incident, the chargé d'affaires of Cuba to Ghana, Mr. Julio Sanchez Martinez, said, in spite of the challenges that Cuba faces, it has made significant progress in sectors of its economy. He hailed Cuba-Ghana relations, which has seen the two countries partner in many areas, especially the health sector.
Fidel's legacy commits us to continue striving to build a model of invulnerable and irreversible socialism in Cuba, and in the international arena to continue to struggle for the lifting of the economic, commercial and financial blockade, which is the main obstacle for our development.
The managing editor of the Insight newspaper, Mr. Kwesi Pratt, urged the youth of both countries to be guided by the contributions of both Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and Fidel Castro to develop their countries.
Indeed, we cannot forget that the end of apartheid came about as a result of the sacrifice of Cuban blood, leading to the victory in Cuita Cuiabá. We cannot forget that Angola gained its independence through the concrete support of the Cuban people, and Cuba has always remained a friend of the African people.
There was a musical performance by a Cuban guitarist. An Accra Magistrate Court has given state prosecutors of killers of the late Joseph Boachi Dankwa Edu 3 weeks to put together concrete evidence to start trial of the case. This was after DSP George Amega prayed the court for more time to put together conclusive evidence. The magistrate, Eric Nesoma, told the prosecutors to seek advice from the Attorney General on the duplicate docket of the case without further delay. The two suspects, Daniel Esiedu and Vincent Boso, are standing trial in connection with the death of the former Ibuakwa North MP in 2016 at his residence in Shiashi here in Accra. The two suspects are to appear before the court again on the 17th of August 2017. You're watching News Hour live on GBC24 and Ghana Television. There's more news coming up. Do stay.
Let's do some business now. The Vice President, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, has assured the business community and foreign investors that government is putting effective structures in place to facilitate investment in Ghana. Speaking at the Ghana Malta Business Forum in Accra, Dr. Bawumia said steps being taken to reduce or eliminate the risk and cumbersome procedures in doing business are underway.
Despite the long-standing political relationship between Ghana and Malta, Trade relations between the two countries has not been the best, with trade volumes pegged at $32 million annually. In 2016, the total volume of exports from Ghana to Malta was $12.2 million, with imports amounting to $22 million. In 2014, a memorandum of understanding was signed between Malta and Ghana for the management of irregular migration on the channel between sub-Saharan Africa and Mediterranean countries. Though the visit of the Maltese president, Mrs. Marie-Louise Colero-Prica, is to strengthen political relations, the other reason for her presence in Ghana was to firm up deals on trade and investment. Thus, the Maltese business delegation on the visit reflects a wide range of sectors aimed at forging partnerships with their Ghanaian counterparts. The Ghana-Malta Business Forum gave captains of industry on both sides an opportunity to dialogue on how to actualize trade protocols. The Vice President of Ghana, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, said the government is placing the private sector at the center of its development agenda and the right measures are being taken to that effect.
Since the assumption of office of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and the government of the New Patriotic Party, we have moved very quickly to restore macroeconomic stability. But we are not stopping there. We have also decided, and Cabinet decided last week, that we have to entrench macroeconomic stability institutionally, and so we have to give legal backing to fiscal discipline. And this is why we are going to amend the Public Financial Management Act of Ghana to make it a law that the fiscal deficit in any year going forward from next year will not exceed the range of 3 to 5% of GDP. That will become the law in Ghana.
He assured the investor community that the government will remove all the bottlenecks and barriers to trade.
We have a model that we are bringing into place which has global pricing across, and we will look at this so that the whole risk engine would be in place at the ports, and the goal that the president has set that by the end of this year, once this risk engine becomes in place and the automation process takes place, it should not take more than 4 hours to clear your container in Ghana. So we are looking from sometimes 3 to 12 days to 4 hours. It can be done because it has been done in other countries. And so what other countries can do, we know we can do it. We just have to do it. And so we are going to do it. By the grace.
The visiting Maltese president, Mrs. Marie-Louise Colero-Prica, urged the two sides on the table to work together to increase the level of trade between Ghana and the island nation of Malta.
This business forum is a tangible opportunity to reaffirm Malta's interest in nurturing stronger trade relations, collaborations, and partnerships between our two countries and our respective business communities. I have great confidence in the fact that Malta and Ghana, being both regional hubs, due to their important geostrategic position, have the future potential to collaborate in trade and business, even beyond their shores.
Ghana and Malta hope to offer new markets for goods and services on either side, culminating in growth in industry and creation of new jobs.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, have signed a memorandum of understanding with the Maltese Chamber of Enterprise and Industry to improve trade and investment between the two countries. The agreement is to address trade challenges between the two countries and also increase the trade volumes, which currently stand at about $34 million a year.
One of the key objectives of the visiting Maltese president to Ghana, Mrs. Marie-Louise Colero-Prica, is to increase the level of trade and investment between Ghana and Malta. As part of this, the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Association of Ghana Industries, and the Maltese Chamber of Enterprise and Industry have signed a memorandum of understanding
to scale up trade and investment between the two countries. Under the agreement, issues such as double taxation, complex trade regulations, and other trade bottlenecks would be addressed. The president of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Nanaepie J. Dankwawusu, said the Memorandum of Understanding will enable the business community in both countries to work as partners.
There are a myriad of investment opportunities in Ghana which cut across all areas of the economy, including but not limited to infrastructure and real estate development, pharmaceuticals, agriculture and agro-processing, energy generation and mining, banking and finance, information and communication technology, and many more. We are therefore of the strong conviction that your decision to invest in Ghana, given our unique investment environment, will be largely beneficial to all of us.
The president of the Maltese Chamber of Commerce, Enterprise and Industry, Mr. David Zoreb, said the Maltese business community is willing to partner with their Ghanaian counterparts.
It is very important for us from our tiny country in Malta that we look at visits, we look at our time, we look at initiatives as opportunities to achieve true deliverables, true targets, true business, true benefits and true growth. We are not here to spend time only to meet each other and say hi, that is great, but we are truly focused on achieving results.
The partners promised to stick to the demands of the agreement and ensure its implementation for the growth of trade and investment.
In business, producer price inflation for June 2017 stands at 3.6%. The monthly change rate was also pegged at 1.1%. Acting government statistician Mr. Bawadia said the rate represents a 0.1 percentage decrease in producer inflation relative to the figure recorded in May.
Producer price inflation measures the average change in price of goods and services received by domestic producers over a period of time. The mining and quarrying subsectors recorded the highest inflation of 12.0% for June. The acting government statistician, Mr. Bawadie, said the producer inflation for the manufacturing sector inched up by 0.3%, bringing the total figure to 2.4%.
The mining and quarrying subsector reported the highest year-on-year producer price inflation rate of 12.0%, followed by the manufacturing subsector with 2.4%. The utilities subsector recorded the lowest year-on-year producer inflation rate of 1.3% for the month of June 2017. With respect to the monthly changes, the mining and quarrying subsector recorded the highest rate of 3.8%, followed by the manufacturing subsector with 0.7%.
The inflation rate in the petroleum sector was negative 4.0%. This is a decrease from the negative 4.5% recorded in May.
Cabinet has directed the Minister for Energy to establish the Electricity Market Oversight Panel as envisaged in a legislative instrument passed by Parliament in 2008. According to a release from the Presidency, the Electricity Market Oversight Panel would monitor the general performance of electricity transmission, ensure smooth and efficient operation of the wholesale electricity market, monitor pre-dispatch schedules, and ensure long-term optimization of hydroelectricity supply sources in the country. Let's go to the commodities market where light crude is selling at $48.64 per barrel and cocoa at $1,912 per ton. On the interbank market today, the dollar is trading at 4 cedis 37 pesos, with a pound at 5 cedis 71 pesos. The euro is going for 5 cedis 11 pesos. Do health after this break. Stay with us.
Thanks for staying on. The Ghana Health Service is expecting polio vaccines in the country by close of next week. In an interview, the Deputy Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Gloria Kwanzaa-Sari, said funds have been released for the purchase of the vaccines. This comes in the wake of the shortage of polio vaccines in the country for months now.
Vaccines are biological preparations that improve immunity to a particular disease in the body. Every growing child must be vaccinated or immunized against the 6 killer diseases and 8 other serious childhood diseases before they turn age 2 and beyond. Polio vaccines are among the first vaccines given to newborns right after birth by the WHO recommendations to protect them from poliomyelitis. Subsequent 4-dose administration of 2 drops of the vaccine is given at 2 months, 4 months, 6 to 8 months, and a booster dose at 4 to 6 years. However, health facilities in the country have run off polio vaccines for some months now, putting the lives of hundreds of newborns and infants at risk of polio. The Deputy Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Gloria Kwanzaa-Sari, said government will provide some of the vaccines by next week.
Government has to pay for some of the vaccines. Some are donated, but because we are now a middle-income country, we have to pay for the vaccines, a big chunk of the vaccines. The vaccines have been paid for by government, and we are expecting them in early next week. There's no cause for alarm now. We have run out in a few facilities. Even the buffer has been exhausted in the stores. So when they come in, we'll fill everything in. And we hope that this kind of payments will continue and there will be no more shortage.
The shortage of the vaccines was as a result of a $3.4 million debt that the government owed suppliers of the vaccine. There are more than 2.5 million children under 5 years in Ghana, each of whom need to be vaccinated against polio.
We'll take another breather here. We're back shortly. Please do stay.
Thank you very much.
Next month,
Ladies and gentlemen, also to acknowledge that we have so many friends.
Ghana will be taking on Gambia.
Cape Verde. The opening match on the 9th of September, Ghana against the Gambia in Tokoradi. Let me stress the format, all new of course. 4 days of knockout.
Before we wrap all of this up, a reminder that it's going to be a beautiful time to celebrate ourselves as an African people, and more importantly, West African people with rich football talent and great skill. You will get the opportunity to visit the... So distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of my good friend MC and of course Mamadou Gay, would like to say a very, very big thank you.
Bringing you more reactions on the draw as to whether Ghana really stands the chance from some greats that were present over there. But let's turn attention to athletics, where one of Ghana's track and field great, Mr. Mike Ahe, has expressed his disappointment at not being given the opportunity to transfer his knowledge to the current generation of athletes at the national level. Mr. Ahe says Ghana can recapture her lost glory in track and field events if systems are properly put in place.
I'm very much annoyed about National Sport Council and the Ministry of Youth and Sports. I don't know anyone at all who go there and say, oh, I'm so. They employ. Me, I don't want any employment now. To me, if they want me a contract, say, do this for 1 year, produce an athlete. Those who run today, I can produce athletes from them about 20. The girls and the boys all. Because they are good. They need some push. If I get them, say, this month, I know what I'm going to give them to December. That means I'm going to prepare them for next year Commonwealth Games. I can only to tell you one gentleman called Oko Adi. He's from university here. He joined my team, he ran. That guy is still hungry about the whole issues. Since from 1966, we went to Commonwealth Game in Jamaica, Kingston, Jamaica. He hasn't stepped at the stadium again. He don't want to see a stadium. Why? I don't know. Because they have regretted us. They want them to die before they can say, okay, put them for State House. Put them for any ceremony. No. Let's see something live before you die.
More details of these particular stories in our subsequent letters. That's all for sports. Entertainment is next.
Welcome back to the Arts and Entertainment segment. The Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture, Mrs. Catherine Afeku, says work on the Accra Marine Drive project will soon start. Project, a brainchild of Ghana's first president,
Ministry of Tourism finally to start Marine Drive project. The Accra Marine Drive tourism project covers over 240 acres of land from the Osu-Christambo Castle to the Arts Center. The entire area will be developed into a tourism enclave which will house hostels, arts and craft village, conference facilities, fish markets and landing beach sites among others. The Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture, Mrs. Catherine Afeku, said development of the project forms part of government's efforts to grow Ghana's tourism industry and also create jobs for the youth.
For the first time since 1961, we as a nation will have a dedicated enclave right here in Accra called the Marine Drive Tourism Enclave. It's behind the Osu Christian Castle, stretching all the way to Jamestown. They have started clearing the earth. More than 30 hotels will be built there. Jobs will be created. Again, the Indum rice, the local food will be sold there. Our young men and women who sew will get things to do in terms of the fabric and the designs of the curtains, the upholstery for the hotels, and jobs will be created for our industry. So the Marine Drive is on. Own it, be part of it, because it is for you.
She said all necessary measures have been put in place for the project to commence. Mrs. Afeku added that government is in talks with the private sector to develop the Efua Sutherland's Children's Park into a world-class recreational center.
That's all in this segment. We take the weather report now.
That's all for tonight. See you tomorrow.
And so it's been an hour of both local and international news live on GBC24 and Ghana Television.
News tonight is at 10. Have a good evening.